Excuse me?
It says on here there.
Yeah, well,
There we go.
okay. Good evening. It's 6 PM, April 11th, 2018. I'd like to open the Zoning Board of Appeals meeting for this evening. First, I'd like to announce that it's being televised live on local Mashpee TV. So next, if we could all rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, board members Ron Bonvy and Dom DeBarros are absent tonight. So sitting on tonight's first hearing will be our three regular board members, and we'll have Brad and Jim on this one. So, Jim, would you read the first hearing?
Let me read the
So-
two of them together, on Amy Brown Road.
Yeah, first continued here, first two, and then we'll vote separate.
Opening the first hearing of 31 Amy Brown Road.
Could you speak up a little bit, please? Closer to the mic.
Can you hear me now?
A little closer.
Just slide the mic.
Oh, you're right.
Can you hear me now?
Yep.
Okay. Opening the continued hearing, 31 Amy Brown Road. Petitioner Edward Coffey requests an appeal of the building commissioner's decision to deem lot buildable for purposes of residential development under Mass General Laws, Chapter 40A, Section 8 and 15 on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 109, parcel 5, Mashpee, Massachusetts. Owner of record, Joseph M. Bignatus. Second part, 31 Amy Brown Road, petitioner Edward Coffey, requests a variance under 134-31, in parentheses, land space requirements, and section 174-32, in parentheses, fire protection, and 174-33, in parentheses, setback from wetlands, coastal bank, to allow for construction of a single-family residence on property located in R3 zoning district. Map 109, parcel 5, Mashpee, Massachusetts. Owner of record, Joseph M. Bignatus.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Kevin Corain, and I represent Ed Coffey in connection with the proposed relief that is being sought. The board recalls the last time we were here, the fire department raised an issue and an objection to the relief that was being requested. Since that time, as we indicated during the course of the meeting, my client has met with the chief. The chief has been out on Amy Brown Road. I believe he has submitted a letter to the board essentially withdrawing the objection that he had because the improvements that are in the process of being undertaken. The pruning has been done. I think the paving is following very shortly. And as such, I believe he's satisfied that what's being proposed addresses the concerns that he had raised in his letter. Beyond that, I'm not sure there's a need to get into or repeat everything that we did the last time around. I think, as I indicated to the board, I would be prepared to withdraw my appeal of the building inspector's determination and proceed on the basis of the variance relief that we had requested.
Are you going to read this into the minutes?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Scott, would you like to read in the?
Which one? Fire department?
Fire departments.
Yeah, you have it.
April 4, 2018, Zoning Board of Appeals from Fire Chief Thomas Rullo regarding variance 31 Amy Brown Road. Dear members, I met with the applicant who provided me with the information pursuant to planned improvements of the entire length of Amy Brown Road, see attached. Although these improvements still fall short of the road width requirements highlighted in the town zoning bylaws, 174-32 fire protection 20 feet. They included the installation of a permanent turnaround at the end. This would allow for upgraded fire protection access, which is greater than currently present. The owner also will be addressing the height, 13-foot 6-inch requirements outlined in the town's zoning bylaws 174-32 fire protection. Also, the DPW director briefly evaluated the submitted paving proposal and has determined the proposal would not meet the requirements for comparable town roads. Fire department requirements under 527 CMR 1.00. 18.2.3.4.2 surface fire department access roads shall be designed and maintained to support the imposed loads of fire apparatus and shall provide with all-weather driving surface. 18.2.3.4.4 dead ends. Dead end fire department access road in excess of 150 feet in length shall be provided with approved provisions for the fire apparatus to turn around. 18.2.3.4.3 turning radius. The minimum inside turning radius of a fire department access road shall be 25 feet. I support the plan presented with the inclusion of the fire department requirements. The agreement does not constitute a precedent, and other such variance requests will be evaluated on a case-by-case basis. Please contact me should you have any questions in regards to this matter. Thomas Cirillo, Fire Chief.
Okay, so this is not gonna become a town road, because it does not.
No, it does
Meet the
not meet
requirement.
subdivision road standards, and it was clear, I think, that we indicated it was not going to be a subdivision standard roadway. But it certainly meets the hardened surface requirement relative to the fire department and the other regulations relative to the fire department that are set forth in his CMR regulations that he references. It won't have the 20 feet that's called for under the zoning bylaw, but we have requested relief by way of a variance from that 20 feet, but I believe he is satisfied that it is of sufficient width so that his equipment, with the pruning that's been addressed up to the height that he has requested, will have no difficulty with a truck being able to gain access to any of the properties along that road.
Okay, I guess my next question is, since it's not a town road, and I'm not sure of the answer on this, so I'm sure building inspector and maybe Scott might know. Should somebody like Charlie Rowley be involved in this, to look this over regarding
What, drainage? or-
drainage and
I think
base and all
DPW
that
It's
stuff?
it's not a town road.
Yeah, so, yeah,
See, I don't know
DPW's,
the answer.
DPW's looked at it and it's,
My old house was on a private road that was unpaved that had serious drainage issues. In order for the town to take it over, the residents had to bring it up to code. It was a safety issue. The ambulances couldn't get down. At one time, it had a skim coat on it, and because they subdivided and put a skim coat on it, because the road was not installed properly, it eroded within 5 years.
So runoff's a big issue.
Yeah, and that was my old house, that was a huge issue.
well, it sounds like the surface was a problem. They didn't pave it,
Well, they
finish
did-
paving it. He said it
Was
had
it
skim
paved?
coat.
They put a skim coat on it,
That's a big
Well, the
difference.
question is the runoff.
the runoff
There's
would take it.
probably, there were no,
As far as the zoning bylaw is concerned, the applicant has to be sure that there's no runoff generated from his property impacting any of the other adjacent properties. This is an ancient way that goes back to the early 1900s. There is no requirement under the zoning bylaw that we create a subdivision roadway that would conform to all the requirements of the subdivision control law, which would include issues relative to drainage. The issue that was raised and the objection that was raised by the fire department was, would they have safe access to these properties? And I believe his memorandum that he has submitted, the letter that he submitted, indicates that he is comfortable and satisfied that it will provide the access that's needed under that particular section of the bylaw.
It's, that's one of the things that I stated from the fire department, that the fire department access roads shall be designed and maintained to support the imposed loads of fire apparatus. So it's built correctly. As far as drainage, that's not an issue for the fire department. And what did DPW have to say? That DPW directly briefly evaluated the submitted paving proposal and determined the proposal would not meet the requirements for comparable town roads. So it's not a town road, so she's,
yeah, well, I'm thinking about neighbors.
Well, the neighbors are the ones that are paying for this roadway. The neighbors are the ones that are requesting the construction of this roadway, and they're all contributing, or I think the vast majority of them are contributing to the construction of this roadway. So I don't, this is not a
not a town-
project that was precipitated by this application. This was a project that was in the works, and the abutters to that road were planning on improving that road, so it did provide safe access.
So you want to let some of the abutters?
We'll get to everybody in the audience in a bit.
All right, my suggestion is a particular type of condition to be placed if the board feels in granting it, something along these lines, that Amy Brown Road is not a town-accepted road until the road is brought up to town standards. Any drainage issue, in parentheses, S for issues, is not a town issue, which means it's that we don't get involved, DPW doesn't get involved, it's their way of correcting the problem. That's my suggestion, because they brought it up basically to appease life safety issues, meaning the ambulance and the fire department. Because if the intent was to bring the road fully up to town standards, that should have come out way in the beginning, and DPW and the planning board should have been here chiming in on that.
And that certainly was not the intent.
Right. But I'm just saying, if that was the direction. I mean, I understand the concern, but I think if we put a statement like
That's
that
gotta
in
be a
there.
condition,
What?
what he just said.
Say it again then.
That,
Say it again?
Yeah.
Sure. That Amy Brown Road is not a town-accepted road until the road is brought up to town standards. Any drainage issues is not a town issue. So if there's a drainage problem, water's coming off, whatever, they have to sort it out themselves. We don't get involved. Because if we document it in this hearing, if the board so chooses, then it can never come back because we're kind of pending here.
Right, no, that makes sense.
That's my
I
20
don't think
cents.
they ever asked to have it brought up to town standards.
And that's what I was saying earlier. Because the DPW and the planning board would have been involved.
Okay. So when is the plan to fix the road? Before the start of construction?
That's
That's
perfectly
if-
acceptable to my client, that before any building permit would issue for the construction of a home on the lot, that the paving, et cetera, be completed.
Yeah,
Certainly,
would want the chief
that
to
would be
sign off on
acceptable,
it.
On that.
certainly.
I'm still working on that one. Is there another one? I'm still writing that one down. I'm sorry.
Just as a point of reference, I'm assuming Scott had the opportunity to read the file and review the minutes from the last meeting, because
Yes,
okay.
but as I was writing this condition down, was there a second condition? Because I might have missed
Yes.
it.
Yes, that no building permit would
No
issue
building
until
permit
there's been a
will be
sign-off by
issued
the fire
until the
department
Fire department has approved the road.
I guess that would basically be
Yeah,
it.
just leave it there. Yeah, good enough.
Before we go to the audience, anybody else? Questions, concerns? All right, anybody in the audience, if you'd like? Just for the record, your name and address.
Brad Sweet, 13 Amy Brown Road. I'm here only because I wrote a letter the last time around and submitted it for the record. I want to totally and completely support the coffee activity here, because these folks are paying an unbelievable amount of money to bring this road up to a level that will be acceptable to this board. In regards to drainage, that road is perfectly flat from the time it rises from Mashpee and then runs for several hundred feet into the woods. And it will be gated at the end of the normal traveled way momentarily. We have been working with the Wacoit Bay Estuarine Organization, because there are 13 entities at the end of Amy Brown Road, come all the way around from state, federal, and I think it's 13 or other private land trusts that own land at the end of Amy Brown Road. They want it gated, we want it gated, it's going to be gated, it is absolutely level. And my home is getting closer to Mashpee, it starts to dip at Mashpee. I asphalted the road in front of my home 12 years ago. It still is not cracked, it is not moved whatsoever, there are no drainage issues associated with it, but I'm in order to make sure, as a member of the Conservation Commission, I wanted to make sure that there was a Cape Cod berm running the top of my driveway to divert all road down to town storm drains on Mashpee. That has worked perfectly for 12 years. I see no drainage issues anywhere in Mashpee. Another point of contact, there was a gas line installed just this past week, earlier this week, and that when they were digging down, they went down 6 feet, pure sand. 6 feet down, there was no drainage problems on Amy Brown Road.
Come right up.
Hi, my name is Tim Leadham. I live at 61 Amy Brown Road. And actually, the timing of the coffee's construction is very coincidental. I've been living at 61 Amy Brown Road for 18 years. I used to jog and run down Amy Brown Road before I lived there since the mid-1980s. Way back when the subdivision was first created, it was not paved and there was a poor skim coat down at the end which was referenced. That broke down because it was laid in very poorly, and that's been repaired for prior to us moving there 18 years ago. So there's not been a problem. The rest of the road, as Mr. Sweet stated, is completely flat. We don't have runoff, we don't have puddling problems. What has led us, we don't have an association. We're 13 individual, well 15 in total, 13 that don't have paving, individual households, almost all of us are year-round, and we have been knocked off the plowing list almost every year because of little potholes or an overlaying limb or this or that, and I've been taking care of it with the neighbors volunteering. We all got together on a voluntary basis. We have 100% participation in grading and paving the road. Coincidentally, after that process started, they came along with their house project. What we did is we waited to execute the paving for them to get their gas line in. We also spoke to everyone whether or not they wanted to bring in town water at that time, but they didn't have it, and everyone replied. So it's been a real unusual situation in a good way, where everyone on the road has been involved in the process. The road doesn't have problems from a drainage standpoint. The timing is being executed perfectly. Gas lines are in. The paving company is due out within the week. They're putting down the binder coat. They're gonna do their house. I'm gonna do the finish coat later. It's being done with 2 substantial coats. It's being done very well. So I didn't even intend to come here for this. I had my own hearing later, but it just happened to be here, and I just thought because I live at the end of the road, so I travel the whole length. We also provided the turnaround on our property. And we created the turnaround to the sides for our next door neighbors that we gave an easement 2 years ago. And also we've done it, and the fire chief has been out to look at it, and except for removing one tree, which is gone. I didn't even notice. The tree is gone, except for one tree. They were very satisfied with the design and the paving that we're doing. So this has been a really good situation where everyone's time has come together for the whole neighborhood.
Mr. Sweet spoke about a berm. Are you planning to put a berm?
We're doing
Because he's
that.
got one in front of his house, I believe.
He has one in front of his house. He's right where it goes down into a slope area. What we're doing is, at this time, we're doing the base, we're doing the top coat, and we're doing aprons into every property. Then we're gonna take a look at it, and if we want, come back and do the Cape Cod berm, because that's done separately. And that's how we designed it.
But so the condition will be, being that it's not a town road, the neighbors will have to maintain it.
Yes.
You know,
That's-
we'll give you the statement, you can read it.
Well, like the county road.
No, but I'd like that,
Well, the
to
building
add that
permit-
too,
The building
to be
permit
clear.
with the fire department is a separate one. I have two conditions.
Okay.
One, that the neighbors maintain it, being that it's not a town road, town's not gonna maintain it.
Right.
And the other one's, they can't get a building permit until the fire department approves it.
It's the way we've been, I've been
I
there
just have
18
to word
years.
it
We've
somewhere.
maintained our own road for 18 years.
Yeah.
So, thank you very
It's
much.
been, nothing's gonna be different. for
Goes
that.
without
We're just documenting.
I guess there's one thing we probably, if what Tim has just said, the finish coat, I guess, is not going on until they complete their construction. Is that what you were
Yes.
talking about? So that the
So-
trucks wouldn't create any damage?
So the building
cetera,
permit,
et
so
cetera.
occupancy permit can't be given. Should I change that to occupancy permit can't be given until the fire department signs
Well,
off the road?
until
It's
it's
up to
completely
you.
done. Right.
That's up to whatever the board decides.
I
I'll
think
I'll
I'm
work,
gonna say occupancy permit.
So certainly the binder coat
Okay,
will
so
be
not
on,
building permit.
binder
That's a
coat's
big
going
difference.
on within
Oh,
days.
Binder coat is
absolutely.
going out within the week.
All right, so I'm gonna change that to occupancy permit, not building permit.
I agree. So road has to have the final coat.
Completed before they can issue an
You
occupancy
issue
permit.
it off.
All right, so who's going to give me that?
Fire department has to go inspect it. if the
Fire chief, want
Right.
the fire
Yeah,
chief to
issued by the
sign
fire
off on
department,
it.
yeah,
That the road's completed?
yes.
Right.
To his
He'll have to give you a
satisfaction.
letter saying it's to his satisfaction.
Right,
Okay,
I'm just saying, just put it in there, that way there's no question.
yeah,
Yep,
that's how I, yeah. I have, the fire
That's-
department approves the road, yeah.
As long as we keep it clear, then all parties are aware.
I hope I have it clear, if not, you'll let me know.
Anybody else in the audience? Questions, comments, concerns? Seeing none? Okay. Scott, would you like to make a motion? We'll do one at a time. The first one is being withdrawn. Is that correct?
So I'm only reading the second one.
Yes.
Well,
Well,
I
did
think
you
we have
guys,
to read it.
did you even, did you even grant it, though? Yeah,
So I'll read the first one and vote on that first?
right.
Vote to withdraw.
So I make a motion that we
Grant.
approve the withdrawal
Yes,
of 31 Amy Brown Road, petition Edward Coffey requesting an appeal of the Building Commissioner's decision to deem lot buildable for purposes of residential development under MGL 40A, Section 8 and 15, on property located in R3 zoning district, map 109, parcel 5, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record Joseph M. Bicnatus.
Second. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
second.
Okay, now
Okay,
I'd like,
let's go to the second one.
But did you actually talk about the variance yet? All you've been talking about is the road, have you even talked about the variance?
I'm withdrawing it.
Okay, so the variance is to make the lot buildable.
Correct, because they're looking for the relief, because all you've talked about so far is there's 3 items here in the second. I'm just making sure.
Yep.
Because fire protection is where you just spent most of the conversation.
Yep.
You had
We got
no
land space.
conversation about land space requirements and setback from the wetlands. You haven't discussed that yet. I just want to be clear, because the minutes won't reflect that conversation yet.
I think we did discuss it at the last meeting.
Well, I'm
We
just
did.
asking, because I'm not
It's
certain.
continuance, so.
Yeah, maybe we should kind of review those two then.
The land space requirements
I don't think the
was-
issue was the land space requirement as it was the frontage requirement, was it not?
That's right.
Frontage.
I think you have 102 feet of frontage and you need 100 and,
50, is it?
150?
no,
125.
25.
so you need 23.
Right, so we requested relief from the frontage requirement because that was the main bone of contention relative to the lot and the planning board's approval of the plan that perhaps the planning board shouldn't have approved. And we requested relief from the
23.
wetland setback
This is
because of
100
the fact that the
feet. Well, only the
wetland,
frontage is 25 feet.
intrudes
I got it.
significantly into the lot, and in order to conform to the front yard setback requirement, there would be a need to
Here we go.
move
This
it
is what we
back,
need.
which required the relief from the 50-foot wetland setback.
This'll help.
So this
Yeah,
is
absolutely.
back to the
That's the
same
plan.
as the first one, we need a 25, variance for 25 feet.
Yep.
Because they're gonna have to stamp these plans too, that's the
Yep.
other reason why we had to vote on it.
We're reading them in. They're in the motion.
Yeah.
So I gotta.
I mean, everybody's worked hard on it, they don't want anything to be missed.
So I think I've outlined it pretty much in the written presentation that I provided.
So where's the closest setback? Is that 46-2
This says 100.
to the wetlands?
This is 100. So what's the variance?
It's a 100-foot buffer right
Is
here,
the variance for 22 or for 25?
100-foot buffer at the top
I mean,
of coastal buffer.
I think it's the 46.2 to the deck, but there was also, I believe, a request for.
Yeah, that's right here, it's right here, see it?
That's the center line.
Because.
That's it, right there, see how it cuts?
Yep.
Right here.
Where's the actual front line then?
It's right here, here's the, right there, here's the 50-foot buffer right there, see?
Right.
Yeah, that's how it cuts,
Yep.
right there.
Too much noise on these plans.
Here it is.
And I think we're a couple of feet short on the front, because. it's
Frontage, right.
Well, the front yard setback as well, I think is, on this
Looks like 28.8,
28.8, and the requirement is 30.
So that's
1.2,
1.2, correct.
and
1.2.
3.8 on the
front
back.
setback.
That's correct.
1.2.
How about the
What did you
sides?
say in the back, John?
3.8.
3.8 on the rear.
Sides comply, one's 15.4 and one is 15.2.
I'm still not clear on the frontage. Is it 25 feet or 23 feet?
No, you needed 125.
You
need-
have it written as, there's 100 feet. In this, I need 25 feet of variance. But I don't, someone said 102, and I don't see the frontage on this. I see the center line, but that's not the actual,
No, so,
The
where'd you get?
subdivision plan, I believe, shows 100 feet.
right,
Okay,
So-
so it's 25 feet.
all right,
Okay,
25.
25.
all right.
You know, setback and
25 feet of frontage, 1.2 on the front, 3.8 on the rear.
Get that?
So I gotta start this over again?
Oh, we gotta read it in. It should be on there anyway. Is it on there?
Yeah, but that was
No.
last meeting.
you have it there.
Not
It's
the-
actually 150 feet now, so it would be 50-foot variance,
All right,
because the current requirement is 150. The
because we were
requirement-
talking at the time,
We were talking, right, we were talking the 125.
25.
issue, but the
So go with 50?
Yeah.
requirement is 150, so it would be a 50-foot variance.
3.8,
2.8.
11.2, that says. Is it 11.2 from the front or 1.2? Your
It's
outline.
28.8 from the front,
Yeah, it's 1.2, Mike.
1.2.
that's
No,
his
this
book,
is- This is his book.
that's his book, don't
This
look
is
at
his
me.
paper. Yours says 11.2. You got a little. Just trying to dot the i's and
Yeah.
X out everything else.
It's 1.2.
It's 1.2.
R3, aren't we?
Mhm.
150.
Yeah, it's,
As,
it's supposed to be.
as the building commissioner said, this plan is so busy, it's
So it's
sometimes tough to
11.2.
figure out
Yeah.
what's in it.
So it's 11.2 if it's,
Kevin,
Yeah,
your,
it's 40
Kevin,
feet.
your
It's a
your number
40-foot
is correct.
setback.
it's 11.2.
Yeah, it's 40 feet in the front, 15 side and rear.
It's 11.2, John.
Right.
Right here.
Okay.
Got them all.
Although is that the requirement now, the requirement of the bylaw, if this is R3, would be 40 feet now.
Right, that's why we
That's
just
why
made
we
the
went to
change.
11.2.
That's why it's 11.
That's what you
That's
have in
11.
your outline.
2, right.
That's
yeah.
in your book.
Okay,
Okay,
so
get the numbers?
Confused.
I've got all the numbers.
All right,
Just not sure, is it, do I start this over again or
Yep.
just add?
It's,
in the
it's
beginning,
way,
Well, wait,
way
okay.
too busy.
So,
how about you read it and then we'll tell you?
but this is the withdrawal.
No.
No, we're in the variance part, we
Good.
moved
Oh,
on.
Oh, you stopped us during the, okay, so we're
No,
starting.
no,
So
we
I haven't
moved
started the
on.
second one yet.
No, you haven't.
All right,
No,
so these are additional, okay. I think I got it.
What a week's vacation, guys.
All right. I make a motion that we approve 31 Amy Brown Road petitioner Edward Coffey requesting a variance under section 174-31 land space requirements, section 174-32 fire protection, section 174-33 setback from wetlands, coastal bank to allow for construction of a single-family residence on property located in an R3 zoning district, map 109, parcel 5, Mashpee, Mass. Owner of record, Joseph M. Bignatus. They're requesting a variance of 50 feet from the frontage, 50 feet of
frontage,
11.2 feet from the front setback, 3.8 feet from the rear setback. This is based on, the board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of the variances under the Mass General Law, 48, Section 10, the site plan for Joseph M. Bignatus, P.O. Box 448, Mashpee, Mass, sewage disposal system design, 31 Amy Brown Road, Mashpee, Mass, sheet 1 of 1, dated 6/1/15, drawing file name Amy Brown _31 Bignatus, drawn by MC, checked by MCCC, prepared by Cape and Islands Engineering, drawing title Septic Design Plan, signed by Matthew C. Costa, number 1388, land surveyor. And we just did the variances. conditioned upon all department comments read into record, which there's a couple we didn't read. If you wanna read those now. There's conservation and
We read
Board
them
of
in
Health.
last time, but
Do you wanna read them again, or
No, they were read last time.
they were,
is,
I'll read them if you want.
But you have to-
They're all fine anyway.
Right, but you also have to put in, the fact is, granted a relief under section 174-33. All right, you have to mention that too.
Wasn't it in it?
No, he was just talking about the variances. I just want to make sure he doesn't go too far, that he skips that part too.
He
From-
said, he read it.
I didn't hear the 33, I'm sorry.
I read all
He
of them.
did.
All right,
Read 'em all.
just want to make sure.
Okay. Well, you read those conditions, then I'll do the conditioning.
Conservation comments, 31 Amy Brown Road. This project has been approved by the commission, but no work is to be performed until approved by the ZBA, which is what we're doing tonight. Board of Health. The septic design plan was approved August 2015 for a 3-bedroom with an innovative alternative septic system. A one-time, one-year extension has been requested by the petitioner for the septic design plan and approval.
Okay, then additional conditions, Amy Brown Road not being a town road, until it is brought up, it will not be a town road until it's brought up to current town standards. The residents of Amy Brown Road will need to maintain Amy Brown Road.
Mhm.
Occupancy permit will be issued after the fire department approves the road
Signs-
upgrades
Signs off in writing.
with a signed letter to the building commissioner.
And the thing about drainage, that the neighbors, it's the
Well,
neighbor's issue.
It's a private road.
That's part of the,
No, I just want to be clear on that.
Yeah, we wanna mention that.
okay, and that all drainage on the road will be controlled by the residents of Amy Brown Road.
Right.
Maintain the
Just don't
drainage.
want it to be a town issue.
So it's not, the town will not be responsible
Well, it's not a
for
town road,
drainage,
so they
so it's
won't.
not a town road. so
But
it can't.
still, don't want the calls later on.
Okay,
I'll second.
All right, wait a minute. Are we missing anything?
No.
Okay, do we have a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good luck.
Okay.
Okay, time to stampy.
he likes it, he enjoys it.
Okay, we don't have,
Just stamp these two right
yep. All right,
here. I don't think there's enough
Around,
paper
around.
around here.
here we go.
Are you kidding me?
Here you go.
Oh, no, they read last time, right?
All right, tell them. I've never seen so much paper.
All right, here's your two. What's next door?
Amy Brown, that's gone.
I thought somebody,
No one can hear anything, but there are a bunch of
there
vehicles.
you go.
Gone. Inspections. Gone.
Okay.
Conservation.
Going back.
Still need to sign these two.
Oh, no, I don't need it because
I figured that's what it was, but
continuing.
No, Kevin's not part of this.
Okay, what do we got next? Here we go. right, Jim, would you read the next two continued hearings?
Continuing the hearings on 11 Hamlin Road, owners Jacques and Marion, and Martha M. Moran, request a written finding under 174-17 to raise and replace a single-family residence on property located in R3 zoning district, map 120, parcel 34, Mashpee, Massachusetts. This hearing is being continued from March 28th, 2018. The second one, of 11 Hamlin Road, owners Jacques and Martha M. Moran request a variance under 174-31, in parentheses, land space requirements, to vary the lot size, frontage, and side setbacks under 174-33, setbacks from wetlands, coastal bank, to raise and replace a single-family residence on property located in an R3 zoning district. Map 120, parcel 34, Mashpee, Massachusetts, continued from March 28, 2018.
Okay, we have a letter on this. Sharon, do you have the letter?
I don't. We didn't get
I
it
don't
in
have
that
it.
package.
I got an email. I don't think I saw
There
the
you go.
letter.
That's it.
Yeah, I got the email, but I don't have the letter with me.
I'll read that in.
All right.
It's from Dunning and Crane,
From, I'll have to read it.
halfway down.
From Kevin Corain, Tuesday, April 10th, 2018, to Marianne Romero, subject Hamlin. Marianne, I'm told my client still has a pending matter before the Conservation Commission that will not be disposed of by tomorrow night. Therefore, I would ask for the matter to be continued, Kevin.
To 425, Kevin, is that okay?
I believe that's what, I did sign an extension to 425.
Okay.
So, we have a motion on that? That's a motion, I assume?
Motion to continue both hearings to
Right. So you made a motion,
I made
did
a
you?
motion to continue the hearing.
Okay,
till
do I have a
7:25.
second?
second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And we'll, same for both.
Yep.
Okay.
Do you have to sign that? Continued?
All of us, right?
Yep.
Yep. Excuse me. Yep.
I know.
Okay. Jim, would you read the first new hearing?
Opening the hearing at 4 Cadian Way, owners Gilbert R. and Amanda Ann Reese. Request a variance under 174-31 of the zoning bylaws to vary the rear lot line to allow for an addition on property located in an R5 zoning district. Map 2, parcel 152, Mashpee, Massachusetts. This has been rescheduled due to the bad weather we had last month.
And
Okay.
month after.
Jim and Brad, you'll sit on this. Hi.
Good evening, Gilbert Ritchie.
Did I mispronounce your name? If I did, I apologize.
Oh, no worries. It happens all the time.
Just explain to us, if you would, exactly what you want to do.
So we have an existing 12 by 12 Three Seasons room off the side of our house, and we're looking to change that to a 16 by 24 addition, so we need a variance due to the closeness of the back of the lot line.
Okay, and you wanna go from, let's see, you're 21 feet,
Correct.
and you wanna go to 18. What is this? Is this R5?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yep.
Let's see.
One of these?
R5 rear.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, it's 15. What am I missing here?
I don't know.
We were confused also, but our lot line is, it comes up at an angle, so it kind of is confusing as to whether or not it's the back of the house or the side of
You
the
need
house.
to speak into the microphone. Yeah.
So it's confusing whether it's the back of the house or the side of the house, because it's kind of an
Yeah,
angle.
the house is kind of on a 45-degree angle to the, it's a weird angle to the lot.
Right,
Well, your front setback in R5 has to be 40 feet from the street. The sides and the rear, 15.
okay.
So this isn't the front, is it?
No,
No.
No,
no.
So even if it's the side or the rear, all you need is 15.
Okay, and the building department had told us that one was 20 and one was 15.
Well,
Maybe I'm missing something.
well, I don't think it's the 15 is not an issue, but it's got 46.7 to the existing. It doesn't show the distance to the proposed, unless I'm missing something here. We got 18 on that side to the new, it's written in there.
Well, you can tell by looking at it, it's more
definitely-
than
It's definitely
15.
15, but,
Yeah.
so I'm not
I don't
sure
see
why
why
we're,
you need a
I don't know why,
I
we're,
don't know.
I don't know why you're here.
Yeah, I kind
They
of.
were told 20 feet.
Yeah.
I'm Patrick Ball, I'm
Yeah.
with the parents, I've been going through it all.
I'm just reading it out of the book. that's all.
Yeah, no, they were
Yeah.
told 20 feet from the rear lot line, and because of the way the house is situated on the lot, the back or the side of the
I didn't
house
work on
actually
this,
faces
Charlie
the
did.
rear lot line.
It's on a corner.
Doesn't matter.
It's very confusing.
Right,
Doesn't
Yeah,
matter,
it's
it's-
on a corner.
Yeah.
It
so
doesn't matter,
it
it's 15 feet either way.
Okay.
right.
Yeah, it doesn't
Well, it's
matter.
40 from the front.
Front, but
Yeah,
the
they
front
have
is,
that.
the front is very clear.
Yeah, the front of our yard is huge, so we're good there. It's the corner.
What I've got is from, the local did this one. I wasn't part of this review. It is what it is, you know?
So I have a question for you.
Okay,
2 feet is what I've got for information,
Kay
short.
Lynn Road goes like this, and I assume it goes down and around. Does your property on this side abut the street?
yes.
Then
So
that's-
this is all your
That's-
property?
Well, it's open space.
So it's not your property?
That,
No.
no.
No, that's the road,
That's the road, that's Gunter's.
yeah. It's a corner lot then.
But if this is not his property, and this is the street continues, sake of argument, let's say this is.
That's
This is
not
not his
frontage,
lot.
if that's not his
It's
property.
not frontage,
That's
right?
not frontage,
That's not frontage.
No.
Either
No.
way.
no.
All I have for information on this one
So
is,
it can't be,
it's
It's-
it's 2 feet short. That's what I've got.
The way I see this plan, Mr. Chairman, it's either a side or a rear, and they're both the same.
Right.
even if this was a front, let's say the road comes like this, see it?
Yeah.
This is not his property.
No,
No.
he's not on a
So
corner.
it
He's
could
It's
be
not
a
on a
front.
corner, it's not a
still
corner lot.
side. Someone owns that land, someone else.
So
Could be
it's
the
a
town,
side,
could be
it's a
somebody.
side or a rear,
It's gotta be.
and it's 15 feet either way, you don't need a variance.
Okay,
Right.
excellent.
Not what they were told.
Yeah, we were told by the building department that it was 20.
Should've come see
and
the
we
big
needed
guy.
one. Yeah, I wish we had, because we've been waiting months to have this meeting.
Mr. Chairman, might I also suggest that the shape of the lot may present hardship?
Well, anytime you get a corner lot,
Yeah.
But it's not a corner lot.
right.
Where'd you get 20?
But if it was,
But if it was, you'd be okay
you're
with that
entitled to a
too.
hardship because you get 2 front setbacks.
Okay,
But forget it because you're not a corner
all right. Well,
But if you ever buy a corner lot,
lot. So why don't we make a motion to withdraw?
what,
Is that the proper procedure here?
Yeah, because it's the only thing
Well,
that's got
do you wanna
anything like
let-
this is 20.
do you wanna let anybody speak?
Oh, so I guess the
We
neighbors,
want to listen to the
But if-
neighbors' comments, too.
Are we voting on it?
We're gonna hear comments.
Okay.
Yeah, but
No, but I'll get a
they
vote
don't
on
need to
it.
be here.
They don't need to be here because they
I
don't
mean,
need a
What are we
variance.
voting on? We can
We're
listen
not
to the
voting
neighbors,
on it.
but there's nothing
Voting
to
on
vote
the
on.
withdrawal, that's all.
Yeah.
but the
You're
neighbors are
welcome to
here.
come up and speak if you'd like.
Thank you.
Name and address if you would.
My name's James Stover-Sad. They've been great neighbors there. I don't have any issues whatsoever there. It's just that when it comes to the question of coming over a certain line, I was just curious to know, because I know when I bought my property, I paid for the survey, and I know where my pins are. And I know exactly where my lines are inside that.
This is done by a
It's a
survey.
First,
certified.
I'm at 19 Pierre Veneer Drive, okay, last name is Stovich. And their backyard basically backs up to our backyard, and also one of my other neighbors as well. And because of the angle that things are laid out in that free space area, it leaves a very thin buffer zone. Now, I don't know what their actual property line is. It sounds like they're in question as it also. Has it ever been pinned? I mean, you guys.
This is done by Down Cape Engineering, stamped
Right,
by a registered
okay,
land surveyor
okay.
with all the measurements on it.
Have you seen this?
No,
Do you want to,
no,
Look
I
at
haven't
it.
seen
Look at it.
anything other than the notice that you guys have.
welcome to look at
Take
it?
a look at this.
You can have that.
Oh, thank you.
You can have mine too if you want.
I'd like to get with you and, you know, I came over to the house a couple of times.
I was in the shower, so
Great, okay, sorry about that.
TMI.
According
I told my
to,
kids don't
according to this land surveyor,
Right,
They meet the
he
requirements.
signed off on it,
Yeah.
he stamped it,
okay,
that's legit.
all right, then why would the building department have an issue?
They made a mistake.
Yeah, cause
Yeah.
one neighbor had said that it was 15 and 15, but the building department said it was 15 and 20. So
20
that's
to the
why we're
rear
here,
of
cause we talked to one of our other neighbors and he had said he had the same issue when he went and talked to a lawyer and it was 15 and 15. He's like, so you guys shouldn't have any trouble, I don't even know why you're going through this, but
Great,
We
okay,
have
all right,
this-
not
She's
to use
just talking
not to
about
use up everybody's time there, but maybe you can just kind of explain to me what's going on.
Maybe you guys can do that
You can do that
outside.
offline,
Yeah.
we gotta finish
Thank
this.
you very much. Thank you.
Anybody else have a
First, I
comment?
want to apologize for whatever my staff did, because I have no clue what, I just get the reports. Yeah, I apologize on behalf of my.
Anybody else have
father.
any comments, questions, concerns? Seeing none, would you make a motion to withdraw?
I make a motion that we withdraw 4 Cadian Way owners Gilbert R. and Amanda M. Ritchie requesting a variance under section 174-31 of the zoning bylaws to vary the rear lot line to allow for the addition of a property located in an R5 zoning district, map 2, parcel 152, Mashpee, Mass.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
thank you.
sorry.
But,
That stinks.
Anything to
And
say?
they continue for bad weather.
nothing to sign.
They would
I do got a problem with it, though.
All right.
I'm sorry?
No, why Charlie sent though?
Well, that's a conversation you and I should have, or you and him should have.
I'm gonna have tomorrow. Because they spent money, they spent a lot of money that they don't get back.
Plus delayed.
Right, but money's another thing, though.
Okay. All right, Jim, would you read the next new hearing?
Opening the hearing of 593 Main Street, owner Paul C. Dragonopoulos requested modification to an approved variance, in parentheses, V-10-45, close parentheses, to allow for an attached 12-foot by 16-foot 9-inch shed at the rear of an existing garage building on property located in an R3 zoning district. Map 20, parcel 2, Mashpee, Massachusetts. This hearing is rescheduled because of inclement weather that canceled last month's meeting.
Stuff coming up. John.
Mr. Chairman, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Is that 16.9 or 16 feet 9 inches? Because there's a decimal point there, and I'd just like to get it right for the record.
I would assume it's 16 foot 9 inch.
Right.
I don't know why there's a decimal point. But let me look at the plan and see what it says.
Is that one, what?
Yeah.
This is the same thing? This is different.
I think it's just a bit smaller version of that.
Yep.
Where is the shed? Oh, right there. Doesn't have dimensions on
This is
it.
an R5, isn't it?
Yes.
Ooh, that's really close. Existing garage, ramp, shed.
It says 12.
That's probably a Mary Ann question. Does that say 16 feet 9 inch?
What are you talking about?
Because it's on the application.
That's the application.
Let me see.
That's the size of the shed.
16.9 inches,
16.9.
but that's, well, you do point, that's like tenths, but it's not, we're not gonna get down to semantics here. It's probably 16 foot 9 inch. Would that be correct?
Correct.
1, 2 times
Hi,
9
How are you?
good.
equals.
For the record, your name and address?
593 Main Street, Mashpee,
16
Mass.
feet, 10,
Owner,
9
Paul
inches.
Trinopoulos.
I don't, it's 9
Hi.
inches, I just,
How are you?
it's.
Good.
This word,
What is it you want to do?
it's not tenths.
Just getting the variance on the shed. The new setbacks, I thought we built it within the setback, but I'm, I guess 2 feet off.
It's
Guess
12, 8, what is it,
2.2,
15?
Yeah,
2 feet,
2.2.
whatever it is.
Looking for a variance of
Yeah.
2.2.
originally I believe it was 25 feet, so we built it just to put the lawn tractor and the garden supplies in, and
When did you build this?
right after the building, construction of the building, I'd say maybe 2.5 years ago, maybe.
So you built it without a variance?
I didn't know I needed one at the time, yeah, I didn't think so.
Really?
Really.
So it was built without a permit then?
Been here once, been here twice?
Right, it's not what I do for a living. I don't build stuff.
Oh, please. You came here twice, back in,
For a variance for a shed?
to build that building.
Yeah, the
That-
building, not the
Yeah,
shed.
for your hobby
And
to
the-
do,
the
to
pad
do
was-
some work.
The pad was poured out for that shed,
Right.
and at the building inspector at that time, wasn't Mike, and said it wouldn't have been a problem if the setbacks had changed.
Pass these down. I don't know if anybody's seen these.
I did.
So,
Those are two different ones.
Oh, it's different?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, there's two different ones.
Yeah, in order to get a variance, you gotta tell me what your hardship is. Because I don't see a hardship here. It's a square, flat lot, and you don't have any soil issues.
You could have added on the left side and not had a problem.
well, no, you got the septic there, and then you got the D-box, and the leach.
Put it in your
No,
front
left
yard.
side. The other side.
What are the
I look at the size of your.
There's 69.4 setback. A lot of room on that side.
on the side of the house in the
This is
front?
already built, you know.
Yeah. Hence why he's here.
Normally, you
Yeah.
apply for variance before you build it.
This side's all the openings.
Right.
So, I remember the shed, I don't remember the ramp, though. That's the only thing I'm a little, it's been a long time since I've been out there.
I think this was before you went. It was Charlie that came out there and did the inspection. The pad was there, and he said that the setbacks change, it wouldn't be a problem.
How, did they have a permit to add on to this?
No,
So this shed was built with no permit.
correct.
So now they're looking for.
Right,
make it
after
op- op-
3 years later.
When was the
Had to be
garage
longer than
built?
3 years.
When was the garage built?
It's on the,
It's on one
on
of
those.
It wasn't that far after the garage was finished. It wouldn't be a concern to me, it's just I sold the property and the new buyer doesn't, he wants it enrolled into, with the property and to get it legalized, if not, he's out.
I'm looking at this, if you came to us now to get a request to build this now, I don't know how we could approve it.
We
Right.
wouldn't.
You can't.
Because you have to show
Doesn't deserve a
hardship
variance.
to build on that side, and there's no hardship.
But you've got something existing now.
Say what?
Well,
But it's existing
it's
now.
existing because it's.
Doesn't mean it's right.
I didn't say that. I just said it's existing. Those are the only words out of my
No,
mouth.
this is a new one for me. All I know is, I don't think we would approve it if it came to us now to be built. So
Is
I'm
there
not sure how we can.
Any
vote on it.
audience?
Oh, we're gonna get to that. You said somebody wants to buy this?
Correct, yeah. It's under contract, correct.
Do you have a copy of the contract, signed contract?
Mike,
Do you want there's two of them? It's two different.
I'll share it with you.
This is the.
No,
purchase
keep
and sale
going.
agreement.
Keep it going.
So I assume it says in here that they will not, this guy will not buy the property unless we approve this? And if we approve it, it's a done deal?
it's a done deal.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes. Exactly what I'm telling you.
So it's in here?
I don't know whether it's in here or not, but that's the purchase of
I'm not gonna read this
contract.
whole
If
contract.
it's not written, it's not said.
Well, you
Tell
can't
me where
sign
it
off
says
on.
in here.
Right, but it's basically in there that if you can't sign off on the building, it's not, how can you buy
Show
it?
me, fine, show me where that is.
That, you're the one concerned about it, I think you ought to look for it.
Yeah, I'm not gonna approve it then. I'm not gonna approve it.
Then don't approve it, I'll stay in town. That's
It's
it.
fine with me.
Fine with me too.
Okay.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Make a motion
That's
as
fine with me.
positive, please.
Anybody in the audience have anything to say?
Oh, I'm sure the Wilsons will. Definitely.
All
They
right.
got two illegal sheds that they put up. Where's their permit? Where's
Hang
their
on,
variance?
hang on.
We're talking about,
Why
you.
can't police?
Oh,
ever-
we're talking about me, huh? Yeah, just me. Let's-
We're
let's
talking
just-
about 593 Main Street.
Yeah.
If-
Well, let's talk about them then. Where's their permit for their
When
two
they
sheds?
file
on their
something, we
structure?
will.
Look,
Where's their permit for their two sheds?
hold on one second.
Huh?
Let me get back to you.
You are the guys that want me out of town. I don't wanna leave.
Excuse me?
I don't even know
You're
who
you're
you
here
are.
you're here for a variance for a shed. I don't know where this is going. You're taking this to a whole nother ballgame.
All the complaints from the Wilsons,
It has, hang on.
you know, I'm being forced to sell my property.
Who's forcing
not
you?
forcing you to sell
No
your
one's forcing
property.
you.
Well, don't sign off. I'll stay in town. That's fine by me, by all means.
I just wanna know where it says in here that if
The
it's
buyer
approved,
cannot purchase the property unless it's the sign off on the building. How can he,
Yeah,
how
where
can he
is
buy
it? Can, help me find it.
It hasn't been.
Well,
I'm not gonna
Can
read
you
this whole
explain to
question.
All right,
me that
let
haven't
me-
signed off on the structure?
all right, if I may. All right. Scott and I both know that, and it doesn't matter, if there's any piece of property that's for sale, and if there's a violation on that property, it'll come up in the review. And the attorneys for the party purchasing it will usually go to the applicant and say, you gotta fix this, correct?
Yeah.
So, the way I'm looking at it is, this individual knows he's got a problem here. So he's doing what he knows is gonna happen anyway, because the other attorney's gonna tell his client, either you don't buy it or you buy it at your own risk. Because you're not gonna buy a violation,
Yeah.
correct?
Someone's gonna have to.
There
remove
you
the
go.
structure.
So he's here to correct it. So the question comes down to is whether or not the board feels it's worth granting the relief or not, doing the modification. That's what it comes down to, because it doesn't
How
matter,
can
that's
you
what
approve
it
it? You
is.
set a precedence that you're, so someone can come in tomorrow and wanna build the same shed. I know how I'm gonna vote as one person. So, would you like me to make a motion, or do you wanna hear from the butters, or?
Have to hear from the butters.
Oh, I wanna hear from the butters.
So it's definitely a no then, correct?
We haven't
Don't
voted
know.
yet. I'm just one person. There's 5 people have to vote.
We have to hear from anybody else that wants to speak.
They don't have to speak if they don't want to.
Absolutely.
Anybody in the audience want to speak on this hearing?
My name's Tom Wilson, I'm at 581 Main Street, and I live directly across probably 200 to 50 feet across. My main concern has always been, after this hobby shop was built, it's been constant heavy equipment, industrial work, paint. I've called fire department, board of health, talked to Rodney Collins, I talked to everybody. And that's my concern. That's all I'm here to talk about is what's happened in the past. And
What's happening now? In the last
right now,
year?
At this present time, probably a week or so, nothing's happened, but
For the last week?
for about a week or so.
How about last fall?
January, February, March, there's been plenty of activity, and I called the fire department once to come.
What type of activity?
Well, I could smell paint and heavy equipment and things like that, and industrial work.
How about the noise?
Noise, well, it's been winter, so my windows are closed, so.
What about last summer?
Last summer, there was a lot of paint. I called the fire department on numerous occasions, but that was the, I think, boat refinishing. I don't know what goes on there, but that's my complaint. My complaints have been mostly smelling paint.
That's not the issue here.
The fire department has confirmed that, so that's what my complaints are. In a residential neighborhood, I don't think, I've been living at 581 Main Street for 32 years, so.
I know exactly.
And I'm retired.
I've been on this board for
And
13 years I've been on this board.
yeah,
Mr.
So-
Chairman?
so that's been my complaints.
Yes.
If you'll excuse, is this industrial activity going on in the residential area?
Absolutely.
That's my question.
This was supposed to be a hobby shop. At least that's what we were told.
What's the hobby?
How many years ago? 5,
I think
6,
that
7,
was,
8?
2011 or 12, and it was
Whatever the numbers
supposed
are.
to be a hobby shop, and
I think we should limit it to what he's asking for.
Right, we're getting
I
off
know.
track.
I'm sorry.
All right.
so that's all I have to say about it, really.
Make it in a positive.
Anybody else?
No conditions.
Yeah, so on this one, there'll be, how about Sharon and Brad?
No comment?
Any more?
Other than the gentleman lives directly across from the industrial park, what more can I say?
Wanna
No
make a
immediate
motion?
abutters ever complained. And nobody a lot closer to me on either side, both houses have never complained. The camp, the self-storage, but apparently the gentleman that figured he'd buy and purchase across the industrial park complains about or smells paint. I couldn't tell you. I couldn't help you out there.
Okay. You all set?
Make a
It
motion.
basically just boils down to the buyer. We have the PNS, as you can see.
Make it to
We need
approve.
to sign off to, in order to sell the property, to, so I can move on with my life.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the variance with the following conditions. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of a variance under Mass General Law 40A, Section 10. Certified plot plan prepared for Paul Trajanopoulos, 593 Main Street, Mashpee, Mass. Scale 1 inch equals 40 feet. Date February 26, 2018. Drawn EJP, job number 6005. DWG number P12-30A, prepared by BSS Design, signed by Thomas J. Bunker. Number 32653, registered land surveyor, date February 27, 2018. Conditioned on all department comments read into record, which we haven't read.
Yeah, let's do that. We're way ahead of ourselves. Okay, let's see, Board of Health.
Can I ask the board a question, since we're all here at the same time, is that all right? or-
Well, hold on, we're in the middle of the,
Sure, absolutely.
I'll read Board of Health.
go ahead.
593 Main Street, Board of Health comments, septic inspection was performed on August 18, 2017, which satisfies requirements of the change in footprint. The septic inspection was done after the shed was constructed. Conservation, no wetlands jurisdiction.
Buildings.
Building department.
Building Department. The area is zoned R5. The applicant is seeking a modification to an approved variance V-10-45 to allow for an attached 12 by 16-foot 9-inch shed at the rear of the existing garage.
Side action.
It's actually on the side.
Those are all the comments.
Those are all the comments. And the town issues a variance. Nope, that's it.
He wants to make another comment?
You want me to comment?
So since we're all together here, ZBA and building, so it's approved, I'm assuming?
We haven't finished.
They haven't voted yet. They're just reading all the stuff in.
I have to read it first before, then everyone has to vote.
Okay, I apologize.
No, what happens is, so
I didn't know if you
you,
guys had
yeah,
already
that's what we're gonna tell you, what happens is this, is they're supposed to read in all the comments,
Right.
open it up to any, comments from the members of the audience, then they have to make a motion, then from the motion, then they do the vote,
The vote, yeah.
right? So,
This motion was to approve. So,
Okay, Sharon, how do you vote? For or against?
This one's the hardest one I've had to do. I'd have to say no.
Brad?
I would have to say no.
Scott.
no.
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 That's it.
Sorry.
I'll stay in town. Keep the party going. You guys have a good night.
Nothing to sign, right?
yeah.
We have to sign it still.
Yeah, we still have to sign the paper.
Yeah, I have to check the other box. Yeah.
Yep. All right, so Jim was out of this, right?
I'm out of this.
Jim and Brad. Oh, wait a minute.
No.
Just Jim.
Jim, Jim was out.
Jim, you're in on the next one, bud.
Oh, you're gonna make me work.
Brad was in.
Yeah, I know.
No.
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 You're gonna have to do another one. Initial it.
We still have four. Someone was-
We did to Brad, too.
Yep. All right, Jim, would you read the next two new hearings?
Opening up the hearing of 100 Falmouth Road, owner Timothy W. Leadham, trustee, T&C nominee trust, requests a modification to a special permit, parentheses, SP 86-86-10-85, SP-90-87, and SP-00-147 to raise an existing 1,350 square foot commercial use building located in the rear of the lot and to construct an addition consisting of 6,363 square feet to the remaining commercial use building situated on the site. The addition will be used for additional showroom space, office, and service space on property located in a C3 zoning district, map 54, parcel 6, Mashpee, Massachusetts. Also opening the hearing at the same time, 100 Falmouth Road. Owner Timothy W. Leadham, trustee, T&C Nominee Trust. Requests a written finding under 174-17 of the zoning bylaws to alter and expand a non-conforming commercial use structure by adding some 6,363 square foot of space to be used for showroom, office, and services space on property located in a C2 zoning district, map 54, parcel 6, Mashpee, Massachusetts.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. For the record, Kevin Corain, and I have the pleasure of representing Tim Leadham and Bosun's Marine. Tim is the owner of Bosun's Marine facility at the corner of Route 28 and Bowden Road. I provided the board with my written remarks as I typically do, and I have attached to those remarks several decisions that relate to this property that the board has acted upon in the past. For those of you that travel up and down Route 28, I'm sure you're familiar with the site. What we have here is an existing conditions plan which shows you the existing structure, and also there is a second structure on the site as well. This is actually a combination of two lots that is split by an industrial and commercially zoned line. The board has approved expansion to this building in the past. I've applied for relief because the building is non-conforming, and also have applied for relief to modify the special permit because there is a special permit, the most recent one granted in the year 2000, which allowed for certain expansion to the existing building. The building is non-conforming because it sits within 49 feet of Bowden Road. And under our bylaw, because it is commercially zoned and has frontage in the C2 district, I believe it requires 75 feet. So we have a non-conforming situation here with the building that doesn't comply with the 75-foot setback from Bowden Road. That applies to the principal structure on the site as well as the additional structure that is on the site. The darkened area that you see here is the proposed addition. What is being proposed here is the elimination or the raising of the second commercial building that is located on the site. Okay, that would be coming down. And this addition that you see in the darker shade is being added to the existing showroom and service facility. I would point out that the addition that is being proposed does comply with the 75-foot setback from Bowden Road, and we are not in violation of any of the other required setback criteria. The use of the property remains the same. We'll just allow Mr. Leadham to expand existing display and service areas, which will make his operation more efficient and be able to provide better service to his clientele.
Jim,
This is a plan.
hear that noise?
This is a plan of the building. You see a right elevation, which is the elevation that is not visible from Bowden Road. This is the elevation that's visible from Bowden Road. This is the elevation that will be to the rear of that addition. So you see the service area that's being added will have those garage doors to the rear of that facility. I did provide the board with additional floor plans, et cetera, which would give the board an indication of how the interior space is proposed to be used. As it relates to the special permit, I have enumerated the criteria in my written remarks as to what the board would consider. As I've indicated before, those criteria relate to public health and safety issues. I suggest to the board that, that the proposed use here and the expanded use essentially remains the same. As I said, it just provides a more efficiency as it relates to the service and display. And I suggest that nothing that is being proposed here would adversely impact any of those public health, welfare, or safety concerns. In addition, relative to the alteration or change of a pre-existing non-conforming structure, I would suggest to the board that what is being proposed is not substantially more detrimental to what currently exists. As I said, we are the addition, for all practical purposes, will be barely visible from Route 28. It does not exceed our lot coverage and conforms to the required setback from Bowden Road, which is replacing a building which doesn't conform to that setback. I also have Raul with me from Cape and Islands Engineering. If the board has any engineering questions, or Tim, who's here to respond to any questions that the board may have relative to his operation and the proposed expansion.
Question, the setback, so it's from Bowden Road, you, what, 49.5, is that the closest?
Yeah, but that's existing.
Yes, the existing structure is 49.5 feet from Bowden Road.
And the proposed is
The-
actually gonna stay the same, isn't it?
The proposed, well, the building is going to stay,
This is the new.
the front building is going to stay the same. That's not changing.
Right.
Front of the building. But the rear portion or the addition will actually be set back some 84 feet off Bowden Road.
And I think in addition to that, what was existing was only 40.
That was 40, something like that, right?
47.
Right,
49.7.
right.
That'll be eliminated.
And that'll be eliminated, and the new one will be.
84 plus, right.
It's also gonna be, not that it matters, less this way too.
That's correct. Not that, yeah, it didn't. I don't think it was in violation the other way.
Additional parking is proposed as a part of the process. You can see we've located parking in the area where the old building that is being removed has been taken down, and the chart that we've provided indicates that the proposed parking conforms to the requirement of the bylaw.
It's a much better use of the space. Looks like, that building always looks like it's just in the way. I see it maneuvering boats around there all the time. Yeah.
Water runoff, I think, is probably not gonna be an issue.
Shouldn't be. This has been before both, well, before the site plan review committee, so it has been reviewed by site plan. Site plan / design.
Plan review.
Design plan. Plan review, okay.
Yeah, I just wanna make sure Charlie Rowley is involved in this.
Okay, I would, as an aside, relative to this Charlie Rowley involvement, if, and I'm sure Tim has no issues with Charlie Rowley reviewing what's being proposed, but we've run into a situation relative to the permit that the board granted on 593 Falmouth Road, I think it was, the Bogosian permit, and you put the condition in there relative to Charlie Rowley's approval.
735.
Whatever it was, 750, something like that. And Charlie's issued his comments.
I saw them.
Okay. One of his comments, it relates to whether or not a fire truck can get around the entire building. Well, the building has been approved at this juncture. The permit has been granted. And if an issue like that is going to be raised, and the fire department typically participates in the site plan process, why it comes up now when we can't do anything about it, is an issue, quite frankly.
Not really, because Mr. Rowley would be notified that the fire department did review it and already addressed the issue. So it's simply a fact that he wasn't part of the process.
Right.
So he'll raise questions until somebody says it's been
Okay.
looked at already, and then that usually solves that problem.
That's fine, as long as we don't run into a situation where, permits have been granted, building designs have been approved, and then Charlie comes along and makes a comment, then all of a sudden, people start to question whether or not, things should have been done. I
But you have
believe
to
from a
underst-
fire department perspective anyway, you only have to have access from 3 sides of the building, so I don't think you have to get around the entire building, but
But
I just wanted to point that out as a concern for any applicant, if you got Charlie coming along after things have already been reviewed, it can raise questions, that's all I suggest.
Please.
Through the chair, Counselor, as the building commissioner, all these questions would have to go through me on anything that's going on now or is gonna be proposed, so I would address them accordingly. And if you have any faith in my abilities.
I have a lot of faith. I have a lot of faith in your abilities.
But I'm just saying, I don't believe in, rehashing items that have already been discussed. So I like to nip that in the butt because I want to clear it in the air.
Right, and I just wanted to raise it because it came to my attention within the last week after, the decision, I receive it in the mail, and then I get this letter, and all of a sudden my client
Right.
doesn't know what to do because he sees this comment from Charlie and says, oh my God, am I gonna have to take my building down? This, that, the other thing. So I just raised that as an element of concern for any particular applicant who is gonna go through this process.
But no, I addressed it.
7:35, I assume, went through plan review,
It did.
correct?
Yes.
And I'm sure that the fire chief or somebody from fire
Right.
was there.
Fire
and
was there.
looked at it.
Absolutely, as did Tim's project. It went through
See,
plan
the only
review as well.
disconnect here is that the town
Engineer.
engineer doesn't really work for the town.
Right, exactly.
So that's kind of the,
Okay, I mean. it's
normally
like-
in other towns where he worked for the town, he'd be in that meeting.
Right, exactly,
So everybody's on the same page.
exactly,
A little different page here.
right.
He's just covering his tracks by bringing up stuff that he's not aware of that's been addressed.
And I'm just bringing up the issue so the board is aware of it.
Thank you. All right. Well, it's certainly a major change. No question about it. And you've done a nice job listing the concerns of special permit, and I agree with you. They're usually about life safety, public health, that type of thing. It talks about air quality, groundwater, adverse impact on wildlife, et cetera, traffic flow, on and on and on. down the
Right,
line.
and I'd point out that most of the traffic that occurs here is traffic that occurs out of the busy season, because the boats are coming in after the summer and they're going out before the summer, so we
Well, it's
don't.
nothing that's going to change anyway. is
That's
that
correct, that's correct.
And the only other question I had was parking, and it sounds like parking's been handled. Are you going to increase or keep the same number of
I
spots?
believe there's more spots now because of the,
Yeah, it looks like there's quite a bit more. There's no parking out back now all your parking's out front for customers.
and down the
Yeah.
side.
Look
so-
at this, Joe.
I don't know if it's in here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh,
All new parking.
Is it listed on the plan?
There are some 35.7 spaces required. And we're providing 35 plus 2 handicap spaces. So we've provided sufficient parking. It's not striped or anything else like that, and it's never been striped, so, but, the
All right,
layout-
Kevin, you need the mic.
Sorry.
Sorry about that. As I said, we've provided sufficient parking to conform to the requirements of the bylaw. A lot of it's being located in the building where the building was taken down, and the parking that existed before will remain. One other thing I would point out is that we're also moving the access and egress point further down Bowden Road. So by moving the access further down Bowden Road as compared to up in here, we help deal with, congestion and backup that occasionally takes place at the corner. So we've addressed that as well.
Now, normally, I see parking spot required and et cetera listed somewhere on one of these tables.
It's on the notes. If you look to the notes to the right of
What
the table.
page?
The front page, the notes to the right of the table.
There's parking right there. And then it's almost
Okay, good.
down the bottom is the Number.
That's all I have. Scott?
Good.
Comments?
Oh, before we go to that.
Oh, we got-
We gotta read into
yeah.
stuff.
I got,
Oh, good.
someone else wanna read something?
I'll do the Board of Health, I got it in front of me. Board of Health comments, the proposed addition to the existing front building and raising of the rear building will decrease the septic design flow on the property. Therefore, the 600-gallon per day regulations does not apply to require a denitrification unit. A septic inspection is required for both on-site systems. The septic inspection report shall be provided prior to the building permit sign-off.
That makes sense? Okay.
Conservation, no comments submitted.
Okay, inspections?
Anyone? I'll do it. I got it in front of me. The area zone C2, the applicant is seeking a modification to the following special permit, SP 86-10-85, SP -90-87, and SP 00-147, to raise an existing freestanding 1,350 square foot commercial building, which is located in the rear of the lot, and to also, I think that's a typo, and also construct an addition consisting of 6,363 square feet onto the remaining commercial building. The proposed addition will be used for the additional showroom space, office, and service space. And on the written finding, 100 Falmouth Road, the area zone C2, the applicant is seeking a written finding under section 174-17 of the zoning bylaws to alter or expand a non-conforming commercial use structure by adding an additional 6,363 square feet of space to be used for showroom, office, and service space onto the existing building.
Okay. Everybody all set here? Anybody in the audience? Come right up if you would, and name and address.
My name is Tracy Pratt, 23 Bowden Road. I'm a condo owner at the property adjacent to this one. We're down Bowden from here. And the grade of the Bosun's lot basically pitches to the southwest corner of their property. And when it rains heavily, we take a lot of their runoff in our lot. And I wanted to call that to the attention of the board and perhaps their engineer. And thinking that if you're actually taking away from, you're paving more, building more, I would be interested in getting rid of that problem while we do this right now, if at all
Can you
possible.
show us on the plan where the water's coming in? That way we can maybe talk to Charlie Rowley.
Yeah, good point.
How does that sound?
Yeah. Well, that's part of the special permit, talks about runoff. So all water's gonna be contained on a site anyway.
Okay,
So I'm glad you brought that up.
good.
And maybe we can,
I've got a condition for Charlie Rowley to do a review. Should I make comment on
before we do that, is the engineer here? Maybe you can show us exactly how you're gonna contain this runoff. What sheet would that be on?
Well, is this Bowden Road, or is that 29?
No, that's,
No,
Bowden
that's
Road's on the
28.
right side, the right side.
That's-
Yeah,
You're
come
down
down.
below,
We're-
probably.
We're
Yeah, down there,
this
yeah.
corner. This corner right now, it's all paved with 2-inch stone, basically, boats everywhere. And in this corner, there's a whole mass of pallets and floats and stuff that have been sitting there for a long, long time. And it almost looks like there was a culvert of some kind in our drainage area in the back of the building, but when it rains heavily, water just comes right over there. It's starting to erode in our property now. The fix would be to take some
Some
material
of
out
this
of here,
area here.
as it is a, kind of a positive jury right up
Right
to
here,
our
that's what's
property,
put down.
put some drainage in there.
He's saying this is what the problem is.
Like catch basin.
So where is it, the last page? Talks about the drainage?
For the record, Rowley County from Cape Island Engineering. Actually, the second page is the one that depicts the drainage. I don't have the Yeah, on environmental impact.
We have it.
Yeah, the second sheet, there's a total of four. The second sheet, there are two plan views of it. The left plan view is landscaping and lighting. The right side view is the proposed grading and aesthetic. So what we're proposing, currently there is no drainage on the site. There is one existing catch basin in the pavement, which is shown right here. That catch basin is for processing wash water. So this is not technically drainage. So the site doesn't have drainage control other than existing roof runoff going on the ground. What we are proposing with the addition, and it's located on that second page, we're proposing the new building and the new pavement and parking lot to be connected with two new catch basins. So all the proposed pavement and roof runoff is proposed for a drainage system. There's a proposed subsurface drainage system in this location on the plans to collect the runoff of the proposed modifications to the site. As I understand, the concern of the neighbors in this location, and I'll be honest, we did not look into this location to see what is happening drainage-wise.
Okay, well, that's something you need to address. Go ahead.
Hi there.
Need to
Turn
go
the
to
mic,
mic,
please.
though. You can state your name again, just so.
Hi, Tim Leadham, trustee for TNC Nominee Trust, property holder. That's where I have my business, Bosun's Marine. And we did not readdress or look at in that particular corner right there, where this is the first I'm hearing about runoff. If there has been some happening, I know we have some puddling in there, which started to happen some years ago when the property behind us was altered and drained. The old industrial facility used to have a catch in there, and things changed years ago. This property back here was purchased from the same people that developed condominium complex where this gentleman is. So we kind of inherited the way all of that was. Happy to take a look at that. One thing that I will point out is that the addition that we're doing, we did, from an overall standpoint, design improving controlling runoff and drainage. So anything that we are doing here is improving the situation. We're more than happy to take a look at whether or not there's more that we can do for the back corner of the property. But this modification, the addition to the existing building, and the removal of the one that's non-compliant along Bowden Road, the way we've already designed the runoff and the catches and the dry wells is already improving and reducing the amount of runoff on the property. We may have this situation already addressed just by what we're doing. But if it's a concern to a neighbor, we're more than happy to look at that. I was not aware that was a concern. Everything that we do in here and have been doing in here for very many years has always been in consideration not only for our business needs, but for the community. It was mentioned that we've relocated the entrance to bring it further from Route 28 and to bring it along line with where Patello is across the way. By lining them up, the traffic flow will be a lot better. It'll encourage their delivery trucks to go further down the road. And selfishly, it helps us, so we don't have our entrance blocked by their early morning delivery trucks. But it also helps them because it just moves everything further down the road. Traffic flows in and out better. As was mentioned, the boats that are in there for service, they're primarily coming out before the peak season here in the Cape and after the season is over. That area can be looked at. And any other questions while I'm standing up there?
Yeah, you said there was some, or your engineer said there were some catch basins on the property. Where do they lead that water to?
Well, one thing.
Dry well, probably.
To a dry well on site, or
Yeah, he'll
to
explain
the
where
road?
the new ones
Okay,
are going.
great,
I can
thank you.
talk about what's there already.
So we're proposing two new ones. Because of the new parking lot, we're actually producing a new low point in this parking spot. So in this corner, on that second page, you see that we're proposing a catch basin, solid catch basin. And in this corner back here, we have another second catch basin. And then we have a subsurface leaching system for those two catch basins. So we're piping them. We have to conform to 25% setbacks to the existing septic system. So that's why the location down here for the drainage. So the the runoff from here, from this pavement, and from the roof is all being directed to a new system. Currently, all there is today is this catch basin, but like I mentioned before, this catch basin is not intended for the surface runoff of the site. Currently, there is, other than the existing gravel surfaces that somehow allow some of the leaching into the soils, there is no collection of runoff. The roof, the existing roof does go underground to what we believe is dry wells, but we don't have confirmation of that. We just know that they go underground,
To go
and
somewhere.
because the site is so flat, there's no daylines of them. So they must end up more than likely in a few dry wells.
But if I understand you correctly, you never looked at that area, so you have no idea.
If there's an issue.
Well, no, that's not it. Where the water is coming from to accumulate in that area, which is whether it's coming off the existing parking area or it's because of the topography in that area. Because like I said, I know you're in a spot here because you weren't focused there whatsoever. So my question is, which you can't really answer, is where's the water coming from?
The area in the southwest corner.
You're right, with the
Right.
gentleman's, you know, with the
And-
abutters
and
complaint.
Frankly, I wasn't aware that it was spilling over sometimes after, apparently maybe some heavy nor'easters or big storms. But we inherited the grade when we purchased that property from what was a cotton property, which came before the review for the condominium complex. The grades for that back lot, which was not our original property, and then the grade behind us where they built the other building, those grades were pre-existing. That was just the natural grade of the area. I never went in there and changed the grade. We never added any fill, we never took any out. All we did was put the large 2-inch natural stone on top of it, so it would leach better. You know, when we have boats and moving around, moving the tires around. So we never changed the terrain is pre-existing. Whatever's going on there would have been going on there for however long that area had been. I wish that we had known that there was a problem there. They had approached us and talked to about it. We're more than happy to work with them.
I wish we knew about it back at plan review, because then all the various departments would have had a lot of, batteries dead? There you go. We heard you okay. I don't know about the people on television, but my concern is if we knew about this back during, you know, when we did the plan review, then a lot of these questions would have come up then. Then when we got to this point here, your engineer would have answers like this, so it's kind of awkward right now, and I don't know where the board's gonna go with this, but it's an issue that's been raised. I can't ignore it, because if it gets worse, you know, there's gonna be a conversation somewhere down the line.
Can I make the comment that what we're doing, we know that we're reducing the amount of area runoff.
And that's a good possibility. The thing is, like I stated earlier, do we even know where the water is coming from to accumulate there? And your engineer's nodding his head, we really don't know. And what you're proposing may alleviate it, that may do it. But because we now have an unknown, we don't know really whether it'll work or not. And that's where my thoughts are, but I don't vote, it's up to you all.
Yeah, well, it's part of the bylaw in the special permit, you gotta contain a runoff. And I
Right,
realized,
right.
we just found out
We're more than happy to.
10 minutes
We'll
ago.
address it.
Right.
I just redo it.
We'll
Right.
address it.
Okay.
Simple as that,
We can put it in.
you know, I mean, certainly, you know, and it's,
Charlie Rowley will, site
But if this you
plan.
wanna do, you know, if that's what you wanna put in for a motion, that's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I've got its condition.
because, I mean, you know, in all likelihood, all those special permits that are already a matter of record didn't really address this lot, because this lot was owned by somebody else.
Right,
at
this
the
is
time.
new.
So-
Agreed.
So,
Agreed.
you know, technically, we're not violating any terms of special permit, because we really don't have a special permit relative to that property, probably, in all likelihood. But at any rate, Tim says he's more than willing to address it. If the board includes a condition that we address a drainage problem in the southwest corner, then we're certainly willing to abide by that, to retain all drainage on site.
Anybody else, any comments, questions, concerns?
The soils here are such that they probably are pretty good for drainage and percolation. So I don't think you ought to have a problem, engineering that.
Who knows what's underneath there?
Yeah,
Because if it's gravel and it's backing up, I agree with you, it should be all sand, but,
yeah, moraine stuff, and
okay.
that comes from
We
15
have
years on
everything.
the
We read
Conservation
all the
Commission
comments in?
as chairman.
All the questions, concerns? You got everything you need?
I think so.
We're gonna do one at a time.
We're starting with the special permit. Make a motion that we approve the special permit, 100 Falmouth Road, owner Timothy W. Leadham, trustee, T&C nominee trust, request a modification to a special permit, SP-86-10-85, SP-90-87, and SP-00-147 to raise an existing 1,350 square foot commercial use building located in the rear of the lot to construct an addition consisting of 6,363 square feet to the remaining commercial use building situated on the site. The addition will be used for additional showroom space, office, and service space on property located in the C2 zoning district, map 54, parcel 6, Mashpee, Mass. The board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of the special permit under Mass General Law 40A, Section 9. Site plan owner of record, Timothy W. Leadham, trustee, T&C nominee trust, 100 Falmouth Road, Mashpee. Project's site plan for proposed addition, 100 Falmouth Road, Mashpee. Sheet 104, date March 9, 2018. Drawing file name Falmouth_100_Leadham_SP. Drawn by MC RLR, checked by MC. Prepared by Cape and Islands Engineering. Drawing title existing and proposed layout plan. Sheet 2, landscape grading and utilities plan. Sheet 3, construction details. Sheet 1. Sheet 4, construction details. Sheet 2, designed by Matthew C. Costa, number 52282, professional land surveyor, and Raul Lizardi Rivera, civil number 46845, professional engineer. Board issues a special permit with the following conditions: that Charlie Rowley does a review of the site plan and drainage in the southwest corner at the applicant's expense. Conditioned upon all town comments that were read into the record. That's the first one.
Okay, we have a second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Who wasn't voting? Brad wasn't voting. Okay.
And then I make a motion that we approve the written finding and the following conditions for 100 Falmouth Road, owner Timothy W. Leadham, trustee, T&C nominee trust, requesting a written finding under section 174-17 of the zoning bylaws to alter and expand a non-conforming commercial use structure by adding some 6,363 square feet of space to be used for a showroom, office, and service space on property located in the C2 zoning district, map 54, parcel 6, Mashpee, Mass. Board has determined that the applicant meets all the conditions of the written finding under Mass General Law 40A, Section 6. The site plan is the same as that I read during the special permit. I'm not gonna read the whole.
Okay.
Conditioned upon all town department comments read into the record. And conditioned upon Charlie Rowley does a review of the site plan and drainage of the southwest corner at owner's expense.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Good luck. Nice project.
Thank you.
Those are some of the nicest detailed plans I've seen since I've been here in a year and a half,
I
2 years.
need one more of the big ones, please. Just one more.
It helps to have the
Big plan?
Yes, please.
Jim's got lots of stuff here.
Yes, it does.
It's an easy one, I bid jobs when I
Yeah,
put
I
existing.
just need one of the big
It
ones.
was on there. It's in there somewhere.
It's in there somewhere.
Hey.
Now, this is everything
Good
else.
job, you do it. Not the first person to say that tonight?
Is this it? All right.
Sorry.
Hang on, getting there. Here you go.
Thank you very much.
Okay.
Have a good night.
Excuse me?
No, doesn't that one come back? I haven't signed that one.
You have not. A little overzealous.
Oh,
It's easier that way.
Those are just, yeah, extras.
Here I have a 4 double log
You can't throw that Mainer thing at me. Mainer's a slide. I know, I lived up there for 11 years.
I was born and bred up there.
I know. Seemed like
There you
wizards.
go.
It seemed like, he was just mild-mannered, but make
Here's
things
another
happen.
extras.
Okay.
Inspections. All right, where are we now?
Other business.
Okay, Jim, please read the first other business.
46 Quail Hollow Road, Robert Sykes, Eastbound Land Surveying Incorporated, to discuss a change to the Form A plan.
Hi.
Hello? I'm Rob Sykes.
You get the microphone? Either take the mic, please.
Grab the mic.
Yeah, you're on TV.
Now it works.
They want to hear you.
My name's Rob Sykes. I'm here representing Diane, been here before, and you've seen this. With a couple modifications. When I submitted the worksheet to the land court,
Oh, I remember this one.
the engineer had an objection
I think that's
to
hers.
the definition of the property line along the water. So that necessitated a change in the drawing of the property line. I moved it back from where you see the pink line, back to where you have the yellow line. That was the meat of the change. However, that changed the area of the two lots, and therefore changed the lot coverage. So the pertinent fact of this change is the lot coverage changed from 11.7 to 13.1%. And we'd just like you to consider that and ask for an administrative approval.
But it's a change.
But it's a change, because that's not what we approved before.
Yeah.
That's the way, that's why they're here.
Minor modification.
I'd say it's minor.
Yeah, it's not even,
That's all it is.
not even-
Doesn't even approach a level of concern, I don't believe.
but because it's a change.
Because the water's high right now?
Pardon me?
Is it because the water level's high right now?
No, it's the way the land court determines those things. They have the lines on the decree. That's the official plan.
Yeah.
And even though they're not dimensioned,
So
they
it
didn't
has
want me
nothing
to.
to do with the high water mark?
It has nothing
No.
to do with
The lot,
No.
lot coverage isn't even a
the
concern.
definition of that property line is by the pond.
That was the definition?
That's where, yeah, by the water, and that's what I was.
This is a minor modification.
No, it's by the line.
Was it a special permit?
No, it says a minor modification.
They don't have to come.
Because it's already been approved and they're just showing it in the modification.
Oh, they were
Even when they're all.
So.
20. All right. Minor modification to the site plan. So it's page 20, right down the bottom. So it is, for the record,
Come prepared.
174-24C9A. Talks about minor changes. So bottom of page 20 in your new book. Says minor changes to a site plan of the permitted project, such as landscaping, signage, shape, location of buildings, architectural details, lot lines,
Lot
or
lines.
roadway facilities may be approved by the special permit granting authority, that's us, under the terms of the zoning bylaws as it applies to the grant of the original special permit, provided that such changes do not violate terms of said zoning bylaws. It's not a special permit,
No.
it's a variance, but it's still a minor change.
Yeah, it doesn't affect zoning laws.
Yeah, and if you go into,
If he went from 11 to 22, yes, that'd be a problem.
and it, you know, it talks about 5% or less.
Would you go from 11 to what?
13.
11.7 to 13.1.
That's less
Yeah.
than 5.
Any proposed change to the site plan of the project, let's see, in combination with previous modifications, if any, increases the square footage of the residential and non-residential structures by more than 5% increases. So, this is a minor modification.
Do we have to vote on that, Mary Ann?
Well, this is other business.
I would say yes.
Yeah.
There's no motion to make, does he have to come in and file for a minor modification?
I think he probably does.
Yeah.
But we can't vote now because it's not on the agenda.
No, I think he's here to get our recommendation, correct?
Yeah,
This is
Well, I was hoping we'd put this to bed.
well, you're just here talking because it's under other business.
We couldn't put it to bed because there's nothing to vote on.
For a minor modification.
Right, which is why you're before them to find out what direction they wanted you to go with it.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
See, if you were on the agenda, we could clean this up in about
30 seconds.
It hasn't been advertised.
Yeah, it has to be advertised.
It's gotta be advertised.
I believe, is that correct? On a minor modification, you just have to advertise also?
Do you think we can get on the next meeting?
If you're in by Friday.
Tomorrow's Thursday.
I got nothing better to do.
Well, I think all you need to do is fill out the paperwork and provide these plans.
That's it.
Okay.
No?
It's got, well, if you come in by Friday, you can't make until the May meeting.
It's gotta be advertised, that's the issue.
Is this holding you up in some way, or?
Yes.
Stop the project.
Well thought out,
Oh, God.
Pardon me?
well thought out.
What's your goal?
Pardon me?
I mean, what are you looking for? A building permit, brand new house, or an addition?
It's an addition, I'm not involved with that.
I believe you're combining the two lots, is that correct?
Two lots are being combined.
Right. Right.
I don't have a problem if the applicant, as long as he files for the hearing, because there's nothing here that affects zoning for me from preventing the issuance of a building permit. It's not a setback issue. It's not a lot size issue. It's just
Lot coverage.
lot coverage, which is not in violation.
Yeah, not even close.
So I'm letting the board know I would be open to letting the permit process go through as long as the applicant files with the ZBA for the modification.
So that won't
We
hold
can't
you
make
up.
We can't make a condition right now that you can.
No,
issue an
I'm
occupancy
just having the
permit, so-
conversation,
Yeah.
it's a
No, I
talk.
think it's a great idea, it just somehow you have to, they're not gonna issue an occupancy permit until they file the modification.
Well, the only thing is, yeah, but let's think about this. Why can't I, because really the whole issue here is about 3%,
I know, but we approved one thing.
a plan.
We approved a plan, now the plan changed, so I'm fine with everything he's saying to do, because I don't want to hold them up if they wanna get started on the project. I just wanna make sure you can.
Can you
the
issue a
permit.
I
conditional
would-
building permit?
Well, there's no such thing as conditional, you just
Well, can
issue
you
the
make
building
one
permit. Listen to him. What I can do is
Let
I
him
can
handle
work
this.
with you on this, how's that for an answer?
That's a good answer, and we'll be happy to refile or
All right, to me, as long as I know you filed to go through the process, I know that by the time you get ready for the CO, you're already gonna be through this. How's that sound?
So if you come in tomorrow and you can start the paperwork, you can be available for when? May?
May 9.
Deal with me directly on it, or whoever, whoever.
you're an easy man to catch there at the office.
Unfortunately, yes.
Get there early.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, well, thank you very much. I think that's a
Here you go.
pragmatic solution.
Well, that's about it. I understand. I mean, I can see if there was a bigger issue, you know, I get it, I really do. Because as you have explained it, it wasn't until that got
We should take all this stuff back.
yeah, so
Absolutely.
it wasn't self-imposed.
No, we did everything the right way before.
Right,
A couple times. though.
yeah. There you go.
Should we give these back so he doesn't have to reprint them?
Yeah,
We got a comment from the landowner.
Comment, question.
sure.
Okay,
Into
the
the
record.
mic,
into the mic,
microphone?
and, yeah, for the record, your name and address.
I'm Michael Cusick, I'm the owner of the property in question. So I have a question, just make sure I understand this correctly. This is considered a minor, 5% or less?
Modification.
Modification. So I think there's consensus that we'll work to proceed, but we have to file, which has to be publicized, which also then necessitates, if it's approved, a 21-day appeal or process or period.
Normally, but do you remember what he said?
Work with them directly.
He's
Thank you
gonna-
very much.
He's gonna make it happen.
He's gonna.
Yeah, just come down tomorrow and start that paperwork and go from there. Good luck.
Well, I'd like to take this opportunity to thank you for your public service.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
It's nice of you to say.
Government match. Not everybody feels that way.
Sometimes it's better to leave things unsaid and go home.
All right, Jim, would you read the next other business?
Under other business, I make a motion to approve the March 28, 2018 meeting minutes.
All those in favor? Aye. Okay, Tom's not here, it looks like.
We can stay all until he comes.
No, I think, we got to stand in. Brad?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Good night.